Okay, so here we are. So for those of you who are joining us today, I'm Patrick Weinert. I am the host of the Money Mission Group, and the Money Mission Live today has the privilege of talking to someone who's become a great friend of mine, Daniel Hance, who's CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the Catalyst. And the Catalyst helps active duty military reservists essentially do that transition from their military career to their follow-on career. And one of the great things that Dan does is he really helps people recognize their true potential, what it is that they have in their skill set to enable them to move on to a different career. And I realize today that we have a lot of people in our audience who may not necessarily be military, but there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk to Dan about today. And I want to get some of the, some of those great ideas, some of those great strategies that he uses to help military that applies to civilians as well. So what I want to do first is just introduce Dan a little bit. I want to talk about him a little bit. So Dan is an Army veteran. He served in the Army for several years. And as I recall, he was an officer for 7 years and served in artillery and logistics.
Correct.
So for those, being a Marine, for those of us who understand the life of those on the ground, especially the grunts, that's hard work, especially it's a very challenging work. Logistics is very difficult to do. And it's to a certain degree, it's kind of a thankless job. When things break, everybody notices, but when things are running smoothly, it's like, okay, great. So Dan, let me just start by saying thank you for your service. Thank you for your continued service in helping, military and veterans today in your new role. I'm really excited to have you here on the show. And I just want to say I appreciate, not only the service you did in the military, but what you're doing for military and veterans now.
Thank you very much for having me, Patrick. It's a true pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And again, a couple comments here. I see Michelle is here. Thanks, Michelle, for showing up and for your comments, as well as Dana. Dana, it's good to see you. And what I want to do first is I want to just talk, Dan, just a little bit about you, because I know some of the members of my audience have asked, hey, tell us more about Dan. And I thought really the best is to hear it from you. What was it in your career? What inspired you to join the military? That's actually my first thought. What inspired you to join the military, and then what got you into, establishing the Catalyst?
Great questions. The bottom line is I grew up a military brat. Emphasis on the brat aspect. My father was a career prior enlisted and then officer in the Air Force. He was in intel the entire time. And he was later went to go work for the NSA, did a little consulting work for the CIA. So I grew up around that world. And I also saw when that world ended, how enormously difficult, because he was still a young man. He retired at the age of 36. And so I was able to see what he went through and how arduous that was. And so to that end, growing up, I never wanted to go in the military. And so fast forward to 2001, putting it nicely, I was a failed college athlete who realized, hey, listen, I was at a pivotal point where I was trying to figure out what my next steps were in my life. And literally my roommate woke me up the morning of September 11th and said that we'd been attacked. Immediately rushed to watch the screen. And that day, just remember being spellbound, just by the heroes, just how when people were running away for very good reason, true heroes were running towards what was going on. And it moved me to a point that I can't concisely convey into words. And so I made up my mind that day that I was going to enter into the military. And that's how it got started.
That's great. Yeah. How was your career overall when you experienced, going into the military? Obviously we're all inspired, by patriotism, or a lot of us are, but then when you went in, where did you serve? How much time did you spend in the enlisted ranks and how much in the officer ranks? Because I know you were prior enlisted.
Yes. Yeah. So I enlisted, went to boot camp in early 2002, ended up going and deploying to Iraq about a little less than 2 years later, a year and a half later, with 3rd Infantry Division.
Okay.
And got to see just amazing leaders and truly just phenomenal heroes, day in and day out. And admittedly, I worked with greatness every day and observed and knew that I wanted to be like them, but had really wasn't at their level at that time. Not saying that I am now, but to that end, it's been it was very inspiring. And so, to where I thought I was just going to go in and serve a shorter period of time, I wound up being enlisted for 7.5 years. Went through the former Accelerated Officer Candidate School program, earned my commission via that. And then wound up being an officer for 10 years. And then, so cumulatively, I did right at 17 years of total military service. And then due to medical issues, I had to, my time was over.
Yes. Now transitioning out, like, was the catalyst something that you envisioned doing even when you were in the military, or was it something that came to you later? How did that come about?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So ironically enough, so I enlisted. I had done 3 years at that point in time. My command sergeant major pulled me, and my battalion commander pulled me aside, as well as my company commander had pulled me aside and said, "Hey, listen, you're a smart kid most of the time. You have what it takes to become a great officer. If you make some adjustments, and moreover, you after a nasty tour like it was, because this is 2004 when I'm getting back from Iraq. It was as it was a wild west of activity for the military at that time. However, in transitioning, I thought, okay, hey, I'm going to go back to college. Everything will be set up for me. And then what I realized was, even though I had an ROTC scholarship, I realized right away that the process was very, very painful. And now all of a sudden, I'm receiving 12 credit hours for 3 years of work, where I was a team leader. I was in Iraq. I had an opportunity to learn how to supervise and manage personnel, and really in that environment lead. Just realized that I was being, my skills were seemingly being denigrated and undervalued. And it didn't feel like it was intentional, but nonetheless, it just got me thinking, what if a program existed where military members and spouses, to a degree, could come in and transfer their earned skills into the academic sector to, not just expedite that process, but to just really focus on the majors, focus on what was important, as opposed to the ancillary stuff, or so I perceived it. So that was really what got the creative juices flowing. Fast forward about 8 years later, saw the writing on the wall, had been injured, knew that I was not able to do what I wanted to do anymore in the military. So transitioned out, and was able to get a great opportunity through Walmart's military officer program, only to find out they really didn't have a program, and nonetheless was able to come in and learn the business, and really quickly realized that retail was very similar to an army or company structure, in that you have a store manager who is very similar to being more closely aligned to a first sergeant position in the Army. But the store structure, the Walmart was created. Sam Walton was an Army officer. who, if you read his book, he took a lot of the core tenets and the organizational structure from the military and applied it to his company. And so I was able to see and grasp on some of those core components very quickly. And because of that, was very fortunate in that was very successful very soon within my time in the organization. And I'd been at the company for about 3 months and was fortunate that I was set up for success, and that Walmart sent in one of their senior executives to observe the store. And he himself was a former Army officer, and spent the day with me, was just kind of picking my brain, seeing what I was thinking. And at the end of the night, took me out to dinner, and said, "So, what do you?" During the duration of the day, asked me, what's your goal? And I just told him, he was one step outside of the C-suite for the company. I just told him, I said, I'm going to have your job, because he told me, hey, I'm going to be retiring in the next 4 or 5 years. I'm looking to staff up. And so I was like, fine, I'll do your job. Typical young officer thing, right?
Right. So now you said C-suite here, so I'm assuming he took you to like the chart house.
Yeah. I mean, this was down in New Mexico, so he took me to the ski resort
restaurant. Yeah,
we had a very good time. But at the end of the night, he just kind of, he was walking me out to my truck and kind of put his hand on my shoulder. He just told me, he's like, look, he's like, you got, the world's your oyster, but if you think that you're going to have my job in 5 years, think again. He's like, you will have my job in 25 if you really work hard 20 years from now. And in that moment, I just thought, man, that's not my timetable. And but it allowed me to understand, hey, listen, every organization, like in the Army, just like in the Army, you're not going to come in as, fresh off the streets and then command an Army or Marine company.
Right.
You're missing out on years of very intensive training.
Yes.
And that's where veterans oftentimes forget that in that transition, in that how to be successful in that business of the military, because it's absolutely a business. It's just a unique industry. And so to that end, helping them understand, there's every organization that you jump into or that you come into, they have their own standing operating procedures. They have their own processes. You have to learn that new business just as you did in the military. And so kind of that for me, kind of putting together, well, hey, listen, what if a program existed where high potential folks that were interested in business that came out of the military could come in, get an opportunity to learn the business within an expedited rate of time. So say 2 days, because that's how we learn best. And then turn around and audition for various components. So marketing, operations, finance. It would be a win. It would be a win-win-win. The company would find the right fit for their needs that they wouldn't examined previously. Moreover, the veteran would now find their passion and find skill sets that they'd been utilizing for years in the military, that they loved that component of that job, but they might not have enjoyed that job, that thus them getting out, or their boss, what have you. And so couldn't get that idea out of my head. And so ultimately went to business school with the intention of figuring out how to bring this to life. And about halfway through business school, found my opportunity. So as anybody would, dropped out of business school and decided to, take a huge calculated risk and go for it.
Yes. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I know there are, I know the Catalyst has been an amazing success so far. And, I've been happy to work with you. I've been honored to work with you. And I'll tell you, it's really amazing what the Catalyst has done. Yet, if you hadn't gotten out of business school earlier, that wouldn't have become a reality, or it might not have become a reality. And that's why whenever, you see an opportunity, go for it. I remember studying once and reading how there's a guy I used to follow, and he was really big into writing. And he used to say, if you're reading a book and it isn't good, stop reading it. Don't feel like you have to finish it just because you started it.
Right.
Because your time is one of your most valuable commodities.
Well,
And knowing, hey, I have this opportunity right now. It's sometimes that's what's necessary is to make that jump. And so thank you for doing that.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because it's a scary process, and um, it was scary to it's scary to leave what you know, and looking at the military and the best companies in the world, and I do categorize the military as a company, but the best companies and organizations in the world brainwash their people better than anybody else.
Yeah.
With the great companies like GE or formerly GE, but Procter and Gamble, to another degree, Google, what have you. These are organizations that they have processes and procedures in place that are very centric and unique to their not only their industry but their organization, and it's why they win. Same thing in the military. That's how we do. It's just the understanding of having to take a calculated step back and having that support mechanism. And the reality was when both times I really stepped out of the military, there wasn't that.
Yes. One of the things too that I'll say,
Go
Dan.
Hello.
Yeah, Dan. I'm sorry, it broke up there just a little bit. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay. Good.
But the bottom line is there was nothing. There was you can go back, go to school. You might get some college credits for your experience, or you can go and get a job. And there was nothing in between. And both sides, respectfully, sucked. So with that, the thought process of, well, what if we could successfully combine the two? And quite frankly, we have. And so that's what's so unique is, we're able to take even someone who's been out of the military for 20 years. We were able to take them into our program, and again, spouses as well, because they have a unique skill set earned through their service, where we can get them academic credit awarded for what their professional experience, both military and or whatever civilian experience that they may have. So what we do is we streamline that entire process. So we have a candidate come in who might be retiring out of the military, and they've done 20 years. They're a E7, and they've never taken a day of college credit. Well, we're still though they might not have been enrolled in an academic institution, in the military, to get to that level, they've had years of intense study. And that's one thing that has often been denigrated and thrown to the wayside. So what we did was we aggregated about 200 senior executives, all of whom were veterans themselves or spouses. And we were able to build career or degree completion paths predicated upon what they've done. So ostensibly, we can take that E7 and we can get them awarded up to 3 years of undergraduate coursework. Again, predicated upon that previous experience, because they don't need to go in and learn speech 101. They were giving presentations to generals. They were giving presentations to, and many times, congressmen, and what have you, high level senior executives. And they had learned through the military writing system or what have you. They'd already taken that coursework and then some. And so, knowing that, and to your point, time is our most valuable asset. We can now get them educated, and they're taught by actual executive or by executives who are subject matter experts. So even though they might have an MBA from, say, Duke or from Kelly or a tier 1 university, they're now they're also somebody that is the chief human resource officer. So for example, we have for HR management is one of the courses that we offer through our program. The candidate is taught by the military affairs committee chairman for a little company called Walmart, who also happens to be one of the senior HR executives for that organization. And she's also an Army veteran herself. So she comes in and teaches not only, where HR works in the military, where it works at the Fortune 1 company, but where their skills transfer and where they don't. And then where they don't, we fill in through academic coursework to get them up to speed. So now, and then we replicate that through 22 different business segments that the candidates actually earn credit, up to 9 credit hours towards either their undergrad or their MBA through our partnerships with universities like Indiana Wesleyan University.
Wow.
And so now they've not only been allotted, or been awarded X amount of credit hours, they've earned through this program an additional 9 credit hours, which just further enhances their working business acumen. And then the last piece is we just put it all together. And at the end of the day, it's who you know, then it's what you know. So we put them directly in front of who they want to know. And we have an unbelievable partners that come in and not only donate their time, but also open up their organizations to allow our candidates to come in and do just what I'd said. They come in, they learn the business within a 2-day time period, and they get to executive network. They get to meet the decision makers, and so now they're tangible as opposed to a name on a piece of paper through an antiquated hiring process.
Yeah.
And so they get an opportunity to put it all together, and through consulting, they get to audition for various career paths, again, that they never would have had exposure to within a given organization. And then we just replicate that throughout the entire course, the entire program. So it's, we act as a trifecta. With the foundation being that successful intrinsic transition. So no longer being Colonel Patrick or Captain Dan, it's Patrick and Dan, but those skill sets that we have earned through our service transfer it to your previous point at very high yield levels. But there's better ways of showcasing that enhances everybody's ROI.
Yeah. Actually, Michelle had a comment here from a little bit earlier. She said, and I guess this was related to your earlier comment about your work with Walmart. She said, true corporations and military model each other often. And that's true. Yeah. So Michelle, thanks for your comment. But yeah, what you're bringing up is very important. I think a lot of people don't realize that is that getting able to meet the decision makers kind of, it gives you even just a tangible motivation to be involved in the organization, because you're meeting the people and you're getting to learn what it is that they do and the decisions that they make, and that's invaluable. What I'm trying to think here, Dan. What is a way? We've got a lot of people in our audience who are not necessarily military.
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you've seen in the transitions that you think is a common pitfall, but maybe there's a lesson to be learned that is applicable to people from all backgrounds, not necessarily military?
Great question. Well, and COVID has been, say what you want about COVID, and it's absolutely true, right, wrong, or regardless of what your thought process is. It's been a phenomenal opportunity to really bring to everyone's attention at all levels that everyone goes through a transition nowadays. The days of going in, like my grandfather going and working for GE for 30 years, 40 years, right. That doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, most Fortune 1 or most tier 1 companies, most Fortune 100 companies will they'll tell you if you want to move up within an organization, you spend no more than 2 years within that if you're not getting promoted, and you'll get to where you want to be. But the point being is that when we are now armed with a level of understanding and technology that the human race had never been exposed to previously. So with that, and folks evolving, people evolve. People realize, hey, listen, I loved this when I was 18. I love this when I was 25. I don't love this when I'm 35, but I think I really want to try this. So, with that understanding that at the end of the day, the human element is the most crucial part, because people think, and I talk to folks, great folks who'd never been in the military, before themselves, but they say, well, you guys, you're programmed to do that, and you're right. But what they don't realize is that they've been programmed to think one way as well. And so, it's a common denominator, and that regardless of what your background is that, in order to get to where you want to be, you have to one, have a vision, you have to have a plan, and then you have to build in a plan in order to help get to where you want to be. And nowadays you have accessibility to those opportunities much, much faster. So what I would say is that people forget in that process of knowing thyself, they forget who they are or what made them successful previously, and how to scale elements of that into whatever venture they want to go into going forward. And that's both military and civilian.
Yes. Are there any, Dan? Are there any resources that come to mind that you think those that are doing career transitions tend to underutilize, or they don't even know about, that you could recommend that they use to their advantage in doing that transition or preparing themselves?
Absolutely. Well, the Catalyst is a great start. And I should back up. We have spouses come into our program. We have a lot of folks. We have folks who are still in the military who are going through our program, but we're also starting to, in a very calculated manner, we're also starting to work with civilians. Just again, because we found through the process that we've had many folks who have come in and said, "I wish I could do this," and so we've helped them. But what I'll say is really take a mental inventory of what you want individually, and again, get back to yourself and understand what's important to you. Chances are, if you're 40, it's probably not the same thing that was important to you when you were 20. And so, predicated upon where you think you want to go, or you want to take an educated venture into glimpsing. The internet is a phenomenal resource. A great, my go-to, I stay away from news as much as possible. But my go-to is MSN Money or Yahoo Finance, just because it gives me, and then The Economist, certainly, Harvard Business Review, but those publications are phenomenal snapshots, if you will, into what's going on, at least what's being publicly identified. But it gives folks wonderful opportunities into not only current day opportunities that they wouldn't be aware of otherwise, but also what's coming, what's in the process. Because again, what we've learned is, and not only through this process, but really the last 15 years, the world changes every 2 hours. What's modern technology, give it 2 hours, it's going to be antiquated. Just like, and that's what I say all the time when people ask me, hey, what's going on in the military? It's like, I got out a couple years ago. After 2 weeks, your knowledge base is
obsolete.
Yeah,
right.
So to that end, stay up on, invest in yourself and your knowledge base by looking at MSN Money. Get subscriptions rather to Harvard Business Review, The Economist. There's some great books out there. One that all of our candidates, in order to help them make that proverbial mind shift ahead of time, we assign them movies to watch, because there's some phenomenal movies that they can go in and gain great education from, like The Big Short is an excellent one, and Wolf of Wall Street. Just don't watch it with your kids. But those are great snapshots to enjoy yourself as you learn about the evolution of opportunity in business, and really personal characteristics of how people succeed and how they fail. But there's a phenomenal book that two gentlemen, one by the name of Bill Gates and the other one by the name of Warren Buffett, said to this day is their favorite business book ever, and that's called Business Adventures. And it really is a phenomenal, and it was written 40, 50 years ago. But it's a phenomenal way to get a snapshot into the evolution of business and opportunities. and how people, and for those who might be interested in entrepreneurship, um, it's a great way to see how folks came up with ideas and either took very successful calculated risks or they didn't, and it turned out to backfire on them.
Yeah, that you bring that up is it's interesting to hear you mention Business Adventures, because I actually love that book too. To me, and a lot of the stuff that you're talking about sounds great from the perspective of it's getting you to think in a certain way. There's a lot of very, very valuable information out there, letting us know where we're going, letting us know where the economy is going, where things are progressing, but also just getting you in the mindset of being able to take a little bit of risk, or see like a pattern that you can take advantage of, right? That you can really capitalize on. And actually, we have another comment here. Also, it says keeping up with evolution is constant. I feel it's impossible to keep up sometimes. So thanks for mentioning that too, Michelle. I was going to say, Dan, how can people, before I forget, how can people get a hold of you? Like, how can they get a hold of you, or how can they express interest or find out more about the Catalyst?
Absolutely. We will. You can find us at thecatalyst.program.org.
Okay.
If you just Google the Catalyst program, you'll gain access to us. And then our website is readily available. And we will be in January. I unfortunately can't make this announcement just yet, but in January, we'll have multiple SEO connection points where folks can find us fairly easily.
Okay. And do you want me to put down? What I can do is I can actually put your website down here.
Please, yeah.
Or sure. What's? Go ahead. Give me the website again.
It's thecatalyst.program.org.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that in, basically in my comments to this video. That way people can see it and they can just click on it. So when you talk a little bit about getting people to transition, getting a plan put together, doing an inventory of their skill set, is there something at the Catalyst, like is there a checklist? Is there something that they can use that you would recommend when they do that inventory? Is there some tool? Because when we go through the whole transition seminar when we're in the military, sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes it's a little bit rushed. We do all this stuff, we're fire hosed all this stuff in 5 days, and then told to go on and do great things, which of course many do. But is there something similar to that? I mean, is there a checklist that you use at the Catalyst for starting that planning process? Or is there one that you're familiar with, maybe that even non-military could use?
So respectfully, and I'll taking a step back, a strategic step back. The TAP program in its current state is not it's not ideal. I think we all know. To that end, it's also not taught by industry experts, right? And that's one of the differentiators between us. And so with that, we are very careful in that every potential candidate that applies or express interest or wants to engage into us, they not only go through the Catalyst team, all 12 personnel, they also their information will be shared with our board of directors, because there's multiple. We have some phenomenal contacts that you never know. Again, it's who you know, and with that, we really want to make sure that we get to know, because success to you is perhaps vastly different than what it is to me, to what it's different than to what it is to Michelle. There might be some underlying factors and commonalities, but at the end of the day, it's really predicated on the individual and their specific circumstances. So with that, we don't have an official checklist, but we take the time to get to know every single person that engages with us, to make sure that, one, we are the right fit for them. Because at the end of the day, we don't want anybody to matriculate into our program that isn't prepared to fully invest in themselves. And that's okay. They might just be looking for a great career opportunity. They might be looking for, X, Y, and Z. We have phenomenal relationship. We work with some of our competitors just because, they have opportunities, and that's just great business. But we want each and every person that spends the time to come to us to receive that back threefold. And so we make sure that we get to know what's important to them, and we hear them out. We understand where they want to go, even if they don't know it themselves, or at least get them stepping in the right direction with the correct support mechanism.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think a lot of people are looking for. What can you give us an example, Dan, of like maybe one of your students, who had a good success story, got the position that they really wanted, and kind of maybe a little their challenge and what they went through to get there?
I've got about 250 of those. Excuse me. I'll give one for example.
Hey, I got plenty of time, man.
I know. Well, you've met a few of them.
I have.
To that end, we had a gentleman. It's the very first cohort ever ran. Was now 4 years ago. Had a gentleman who we have decided I was going to run a cohort of 10 military members. Wanted to target E5s to first lieutenants, folks who had skill sets but might not have realized what they really were. And we'd accepted 9 people at this point in time, and we still had a couple of days remaining, but we're still looking for the correct individual for this one seat. Bottom line, happenstance ran into a Marine who had transitioned out of the Marine Corps just 2 years prior. He was only, in his words, an E4, but he was a helicopter mechanic. So your world in a degree, Patrick. But
right.
the young man, the kid just impressed me. It just blew me away with not only his intellect, but just how his presence was, his command presence or executive presence, if you will.
Yeah.
And for such a young guy, I was really impressed. And he told me, "Hey, listen, I want to marry my girlfriend, but I just lost my job as the assistant manager at Meyer. But I'm investing in myself, and I'll have my degree in 6 months." He knocked out a 4-year degree in 2.5 years while working full time. And was just a go-getter. So took a calculated risk, brought him in. The kid crushed it. Would call me up. We would go inside a company. We would be there about 8 o'clock in the morning to do the on-sites. He'd be calling me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning saying, "Hey, well, what about this? What about that?" And just investing in himself. And I was just thinking, man, what is this kid doing? Well, that kid today is the vice president of Stryker for operations for all of Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio.
Wow. That's incredible.
He came in and went from losing a job making $30,000 a year to getting a position through University of Cincinnati Healthcare, where he was now making $80,000 a year by successfully completing our program. And then was promoted up to a director level and recently was headhunted out. And now he's making a couple $100,000 more than what he was previously. And what's perhaps even cooler is not only did I get an opportunity, because we create an alumni base. We have all of our graduates and their families are welcome to attend any type of event we have going in the future, because again, we want to make sure that we invest in everyone. And bring people together, especially in this day and age when everybody's divided. And so to that end, this young man is not only is he crushing it professionally, but that young lady that he wanted to propose to, he did. And then he came to me and said, I want you to be my best man. So,
oh, wow. What an honor.
Right. And I'd only known him at this point in time for a year. So he'd done multiple combat tours to Afghanistan previously. It was all of his buddies from his time in the Marine Corps, his brothers, and then I'm his best man. It's just the coolest thing in the world. But what's just as cool is that I've gotten that my wife and I go to weddings now and baby showers all the time because it's from graduates of the Catalyst program, and it's a connectivity point. And then we go to these events, and these are folks who half of their class or half in some of the alumni base that they met through the Catalyst are now also at that wedding, in the wedding, or and they have, it's the unique. It speaks to the uniqueness of what the Catalyst is and what we do, what we can do for folks, as long as they're willing to take that calculated risk.
Yeah, the network effect of being a part of an organization like that is very powerful. And I had a comment here from Rob. He said, I think it's important to find mentors outside the military that have transitioned. Learn from them and their mistakes, find opportunities you may not know existed. I think that's a really good point that he brought up. Thanks, Rob, for making that comment, because finding a mentor, particularly in an area that you want to be good at, whether you're military or civilian, I think is pretty important. And having a network like that where you can tap into different people, and even if anyone in your immediate circle isn't necessarily a mentor to you in what it is specifically you're looking for, they might know someone. And so that network effect is very, very powerful. What would you say, Dan, is, way, assuming, people come to the Catalyst or they don't, either way, what's a way that you would recommend going and finding a mentor to help you with a career transition?
So I'm an anomaly, I guess, or an oddball, whatever. I don't believe in mentors.
Okay.
I personally, just because my life path has been vastly different. And every time I got linked up with a mentor, that person either moved on or, life happened. But especially in the process of doing what I'm doing now, I had no one that I could reference specifically and say, how do I do this? It was a collection. It was a collection of just amazing members of my personal network that I either met through current friends, or I met through them, or they became friends themselves directly. But to your point, it's one of the things that I did when I was coming up with when we were creating the idea for the Catalyst was I Googled military veterans who are now CEOs. And I came, or historically, that would became CEOs. I probably reached out to about 1,200 various veterans throughout a gauge of about 50 years who had transitioned, whom I had read about at one point in time through LinkedIn, through platforms such as LinkedIn. And I'd be sure to send each and every single one of them either a LinkedIn message, or if they allowed me to, an email, or sometimes a phone call. But in that process, I took the time again to invest in meeting these individuals and learning everything I possibly could from them. And so, what I would say is that if you're a civilian and you say, hey, listen, I want to become a CFO one day. Well, what industry, or what, start looking up, Google, see successful CFOs, or people that are in the industry, that are in that industry now, because again, they're just a click away. Do the research, take the time, know what you want, find out what you can, learn everything you possibly can without getting stalkerish, but take the time to learn about them and find out what it is, how they got to where they're at currently. And if you're really lucky, they'll come in, they'll share with you, they'll give you pardon my language, they'll give you a no crap. This is what I really went through to get here. They'll share with you their wins, their losses. And if they're doing that, they're really investing in your personal development. That is gold that you cannot put a value on. And that is absolutely time well spent. So I would just say again, if you're interested in one thing, or if you're interested in a multitude of things, take the time, write it down, assess what's most interested to you at this, prioritize, and then start looking at folks that are in that field now, and start reaching out to them. LinkedIn, even though I'm not the greatest user of it, it has been an enormously successful vehicle for the Catalyst, and for me, as an individual as well.
That's great. That's a great testimony. So really, if you're looking for someone to give you some guidance in an area that you're not as familiar with, find those people, research them. You can do a little bit of social media stalking, but not too much. And just really, if you can get them to help you in some way, maybe provide them value in some way, in order to build that relationship. That's great. That's great advice, Dan.
I spent a lot of money on buying people coffee and if they were veteran beers. So, every single time. And the reality is you got to have a thick skin, because many times people will look at you and be like, well, in our case, you're not an academy grad. I don't want to talk to you. And I've heard that,
Right.
you're not XYZ. Okay, fine. That's fine. Thank you for your time. But be humble, but be calculated. Make sure that and one of the greatest, one of the greatest influencers to me personally is a gentleman who was not a veteran, but he's a very successful entrepreneur in Cincinnati. His name's Dan Fisher. He owns numerous companies, but we were connected in business school via his then girlfriend, now wife, and she told me, hey, I think you guys would get along. That gentleman was enormously beneficial. He was the one that helped us come up with the idea for the Catalyst. When I was terrified about actually venturing out, starting this with no idea of how it would go or what it could become. He just asked me, what kind of money would you need to get this started? And he's like, build a plan. And so I did, and I said, it would take me about $30,000 to do this. He pulled out his checkbook on that spot and wrote me a check and told us, after you've made your first 10 million, then you can pay me back in full. So wow. That verbatim, and then proceeded to give us a 5,000 square foot office building rent free for 2 years. Yeah. So again, and this was a gentleman who, for whatever reason, he wasn't a veteran, but he had hired veterans previously to run, his companies, and had enormous success with them. And he was somebody who believed in what we brought to the table as veterans. But for whatever reason, he believed in me. And to this day, I can't get a straight answer from him why that is. But it's been what I'll say is that if you invest in, and he also taught me, never go into a meeting, because every interaction you go into. So Michelle, Rob, right now, even though we're not talking direct, well, aside from right now talking directly, this is an interview. You're interviewing me indirectly to make sure I'm worth your time. Never go into an interview with what can you do for me? Go into it, what can I do for you? And that's what Dan Fisher taught me. And in doing that, it totally changed my psychology.
Yes, exactly.
And my approach to everything business related. And in doing that, that's where these opportunities have arisen from. And so anytime, and it's a unique perspective. But what I've found is that, and again, being very blessed and grateful and fortunate to work with the caliber of folks that we work with on a day-to-day basis and receive phone calls from, every single time, see their number or pick up the phone, it's always, what can I do for you? And it's genuine, because that's their mentality as well. And that is a core tenet and staple of how they became as successful as they are today, or they have been for the last 30 years.
Yeah, that's so true, Dan. It's like, if you're able to bring massive value to the people that you work with, either your customers, your clients, your employees, if you're able to bring them value, you really are going to turn them into raving fans. And they're going to want to be with you, doing business with you constantly, because they're gaining so much value. And if you're always bringing value, you're going to blow away your competition. So I couldn't agree with you more. It's a really good point that you bring up. It's really generous. He said, Dan, he gave you $30,000 up front,
Dan Fish, yeah.
and said when you make your first so when you made your first 10 million last year, you paid him back, right?
Yeah, well, we're actually not too far off. But that's my point is if you're real, if you do
Yes.
something, if you do something because one, there's a need, and two, you believe in it, and if you're lucky enough to get somebody to believe in as you believe, you stick with you gather those people, you treat them like the gold that they are, and you just treat everyone well. Don't be surprised when magic happens.
Yes.
And that's again, the conversations that we have on a day-to-day basis with not only the leaders, the quality leaders, but the organizations and companies that we partner with, and the universities now that we're partnering with, amazing schools. It's because they've heard about how we work with other people, and that's our most valuable capital. Is not only our customer is the individual veteran and their families, making sure that their needs are met, even if they don't realize what they need in this time or going forward, and learning and listening from them, just as it is with the employment partners, the companies that we partner with, making sure their needs are met and making sure that we're always there for them. And then the universities, the education partners, making sure that their individual, specific and unique needs are being met. In doing that and being a constant servant and being that servant leader, amazing opportunities will arise.
Well, Dan, where is the catalyst headed right now? Is there a particular, future? I mean, I'm sure there is. I'm sure you guys have, 20 different plans or 100 different plans right now, stuff you're gonna do in the next year. But I'm kind of curious, what are the big ones? What can we expect maybe in the next few months to a year from the catalyst?
So the next 3 months, we are scaling massively, with specifically throughout here in the state of Indiana, which is, for folks, full transparency, I lived, I'll be 40 in 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's well earned. But I've moved 43 times in my life, and it's not unique to any military brat turned military member. That said, I never thought I'd live in Indiana, but it is a phenomenal state. It's a phenomenal state specifically for veterans or anyone who is wanting to build a career path, even in civilians wanting to build a career path. From the veteran side, you're outside of Texas, or maybe North Carolina, you're hard pressed to find any state that has devoted the resources and the money towards helping veterans be not only come here to the state, but successfully transition as they self-define. And there's great organizations like InVets, which is a nonprofit here in Indiana, which we partner with and work closely with. That they do a great job of connecting folks. But we're focused. Back to your question, we're focused on scaling throughout the state of Indiana, and then specifically down in the southwest region of the United States, and a big state that's been doing great things for veterans for the last 50 years. So we will evolve into the premier military transition organization. There is. But the only way that we will do that is by continuing to be customer centric, and again, making sure that our customers' needs are met and their desires surpassed every step of the way. And that's our number one focus is making.
You mentioned InVets, that you partner with them.
Yes.
Are they what? I'm just curious. I hadn't heard of them before. Are they something that's local in Indiana, or are they nationwide? Or
no, they're Indiana specific.
okay.
They're a nonprofit organization that their whole focus is to attract transitioning military members to the state of Indiana.
Okay.
and then essentially partner with us to help them facilitate that transition
Okay.
successfully.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great partnership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great organization.
Well, I'm going to say, I'm going to see. I don't. Are there any other comments that you had, Dan? Just for those who may be joining us now or who joined us late. This is Daniel Hance, CEO of the Catalyst. I put the link to the Catalyst in here, thecatalystprogram.org. So click on that link if you know are watching this a little bit later. Click on that link if you want to find out more about the Catalyst. But these are just some great ideas that we've had the privilege of Dan sharing with us today. You know, ways to improve your own skill set, ways to prepare yourself for a career transition, whether or not you're in the military, even if you're a civilian wanting to do one. Just keep in mind that you have a skill set, you have a lot of skills that you aren't even necessarily aware of. And taking an inventory of all of those is important in making that transition, right? That income is the most important part of your personal financial success, and making sure that you're in a career that you love is good, not just for your financial success, but for like your long-term mental health too. I mean, you don't necessarily want to be in a job for an extended period of time that you don't like. I mean, sometimes it may be necessary, and we all make sacrifices, but you always want to be taking steps towards really getting into that career, getting into that vocation that you feel called to. And the Catalyst does a phenomenal job helping military do that, because those who get out of the military frequently don't really know what direction they want to go in. And the Catalyst really has done some amazing work helping a lot of these young veterans or older ones like me to find out what their calling is. So it looks like we're kind of coming up on our time here, but Dan, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. I know you're a busy guy. I feel like I'm always talking to you like it seems like you're doing three different things whenever I'm talking to you, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to come be with the Money Mission and to share all these ideas, strategies, just the advice you were given as far as finding those people who are good at what you want to be at, and really tapping into their knowledge. So I just want to say I'd love to have you back on here maybe at some point in the future when you have time again. And I really am sure that there are going to be a lot more people interested in the Catalyst after they've watched our interview here.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's always a pleasure to get your call or email, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity. And if I may, real quick before we part, regardless
Sure.
of whether you're military or not, you're civilian. One is, again, we people commonly get lost in the minutia of vernacular. So by speaking in a certain way, it psychologically profile or programs us to think of in various capacities. What I would respectfully challenge anyone listening or that sees this at any given time is to, you only live once. Take that calculated risk and invest in yourself, and think as big picture as possible. Going back to what you said, and back to the jobs and the terrible jobs, I've had those. And though I thought because they paid me a lot of money that they would be great jobs, they weren't, and they weren't the fit that I was looking for. However, walking away from that six-figure career and that salary to work for free, helping others earn six-figure
Takes courage.
Well, I joke all the time. I was actually still decent looking before all this happened, and then stress is real. But the reality is that no matter what, nobody comes out of life with an undefeated record. If you find what you have, that little voice telling you, this is what you keep going. This is your path. Listen to it. That's even though I struggled tremendously in various capacities in my transition out of the military. This is the coolest job I've ever had. And now I'm really terrified because it's all I want to do for the rest of my life. And, so to that end, I've got to ensure that I'm really good at what we do. And that's why we do take such great care and bring in the correct people. and the correct leaders and empower them. But with that, regardless of who you are or what your situation is, you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish, especially now with the opportunities at hand. I challenge you to think bigger. I challenge you to invest in yourself, to go one step further, because regardless of who you are or what issues you might be facing, you absolutely can accomplish what you want to accomplish, as long as you stay true to yourself and what you believe in. So with that, thank you so much, Patrick. This is a true pleasure. We'll get some of our team on next time. They're a lot.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you for your words of encouragement too, Dan. Thanks for being with us. Thank you to all the viewers for participating, for your comments. And until our next interview, all of you have a great week, month, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to all of you again very soon. Thanks again, Dan.
Hey, thank you, Patrick. Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.